What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. This video we are looking at the Monday night football slate. We have two games tonight, so looking at the two-gamer instead of the showdowns will be fun to have a two-game slate to play with. Also have baseball playoffs today as well. So got a nice fun day. Let's get into it. Hopefully you guys had a good day yesterday. It was a pretty good day for us. On Draftkings did well on the main slate, over 160 over there. Fanduel had Eckler in there, but still scored like 135, so cashed in some tournaments and like the cash and stuff like that. So overall, pretty solid week. Looking to keep it rolling this week. So let's get into it. As always, appreciate it, the thumbs up button on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow on Twitter. It's at the DFS Process. And if you want to join, you can visit the website. Link is in the description as always. Also, the final look for week 4 was pretty solid. Almost everybody in that video ended up hitting value or exceeding value, like except for a couple, which is going to happen, but pretty pleased with how the picks went for last week. So let's get started with this two-game slate. We got one really fun game and then one game that could be fun for the Chiefs. Don't see the Patriots having too much fun. But the second game is really where I want to get a lot of my exposure from. I think that game was going to be a shootout. Both offenses are like lights out. Right now, the Falcons' problem is that their defense and fourth quarter, they just collapse. The Packers really have no issue on offense. They're dealing with some injuries with Lazard, but overall, like Rodgers has Devontae Adams should be back, I believe. Game time decision. Practice limited on Thursday. I think he will play, but hopefully we'll get that news before 7 o'clock. But yeah, let's get started at the quarterback position. As always, we have Mahomes at 7,600. We have Rodgers at 7K, Matt Ryan at 62, and Hoyer at 5K. Don't think anybody's going to really play Hoyer at 5,000. I'm not that interested in it either. Just don't see him having a lot of success. I could see these other three quarterbacks putting up big-time scores. So I'm not looking at Hoyer. Mahomes I like, but it's going to be tough for me to get to him at 7,600. So just because I want to get up to my receiving. Want to pay up at receiver, pay up at running back. So I'm going with Matt Ryan. He's perfectly in that mid-range at 6,200. A great price tag for a guy that has been fine. He's thrown for over 950 yards the first 3 weeks, has 7 touchdowns. Problem for him has been the defense has been getting owned in the fourth quarter. They haven't been able to stop anybody in the fourth quarter. But it's not really a Matt Ryan issue. He's been kind of doing his job. So 6,200 for him. He will have his two weapons, Ridley and Jones, in there this week. Both of them were questionable. Both of them are expected to play. So feel good about Matt Ryan. Think this game will be a pretty high-scoring one. The Packers' defense has been okay this year. They've been giving up some points, though. They gave up a bunch to Minnesota. Gave up 20-plus to the Lions in week 2, and then week 3 they gave up some to the Saints. Ended up winning that game easily, though. But yeah, I think Matt Ryan and the Falcons' offense, scoring points hasn't really been an issue for them. So I like going with a game stack kind of with the second game and go picking some pieces of the Chiefs. Moving on to running back, Aaron Jones is the top of the list for me. You really want to get a guy that can get into the end zone. The Packers should put up like 4 or 5 touchdowns this one, probably 4 at least. This pass defense of the Falcons is awful. The run defense isn't great either. Jones can catch passes too. In the red zone, he's utilized super heavily. Him and Adams get a ton of the red zone looks and red zone targets, and he gets a lot of the carries there. So without Lazard on the IR, he could get even more work in the passing game. So definitely like Aaron Jones. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a pretty good price tag on him. He's been more involved in the passing game recently. He's getting a lot of the touches. He had 25 touches against Baltimore last week. He had 16 against the Chargers, and he had 25 in week 1. So you're getting a workhorse here at 6,200. He looks to be a pretty solid option. And then Todd Gurley is the other guy that you could play against the Packers' rush defense. Wish he was a little bit more involved in the passing game, but the price tag on him is discounted enough to at least take a shot with him if you're feeling it. And then the Patriots have their 3 running backs now that White is back, so it's not that interested in any of them. It's going to be tough to pick. And then if you want to be able to really low-owned play, you could look at Brian Hill, who can take some work away from Todd Gurley if he's struggling. And they will have been giving Hill about 30 to 40% of the snaps. So moving on to wide receiver, this is where a lot of the money will be made on this slate. There's a lot of really quality wide receiver options for a two-gamer. You have Adams, Ridley, Hill, Jones, Edelman I'll put in there even though he's not really with the quarterback that he has today. And you got like 4 really top-end wide receivers. Davante Adams is going to be the first guy that I want at 7,000. That is just a really good price tag for a guy that will command so much volume from Aaron Rodgers. He got hurt against the Lions, didn't really do anything before that, but we saw what he did week 1. This week against his Falcons defense, he can go nuts against them. And then I like Julio Jones. He's only 6K. You're saving $900 from Ridley. Both of them are in play. Personally, if you had to pick one, I think I would go Jones, just with the price tag on him is just so nice. At 6,000, we were normally not getting that price tag on him. And then Tyreek Hill looks good too. Could be matched up against Gilmore. I don't know if Gilmore can keep up with Hill in terms of speed, so they could have some safety help over the top, but Hill looks fine. And then Valdez-Scantling is going to get more work, more targets without Lazard. He looks like an okay option. And then I like Sammy Watkins at 4,300. He's just really cheap. I would like to play like McCole Hardman, but just looking at the snap counts, the Chiefs just don't play him that much. They played him like I think 30 to 40% of the snaps in week 3. If we can look at, even though he looked really good in week 3, they still kind of had Robinson out there more. Oops, that was running back. Wide receiver, McCole Hardman only played like 39%. Was only out there for 29 plays. That is going to be tough to, especially when I can just get to Sammy Watkins, who played 87% for $300 more. Like, I'd rather go with Watkins. And then at tight end, you have Kelsey, Hurst, and Tonyan. Robert Tonyan at 3,800 is probably the guy that I like a lot as just a cheap option. They're also going to be, Rodgers is going to be missing his second tight end in Mercedes Lewis, who is doubtful. So 3,800 for Tonyan against his Falcons defense looks to be like pretty good option. And then at the flex, probably go with one of these other wide top end receivers like Tyreek Hill or Ridley. I see both Ridley and Jones having a big week this week. Stack Matt Ryan with his 2 top receivers. Then you get Jones and Adams to run it back with on the Packers side. You put in a cheap Sammy Watkins. And then you have 4,100 left. Defenses, you have 4K for the Chiefs defense. I think a lot of people will go with them. It's just like tough because you have 3 other defenses, but all of them are under 3,000. Defenses are probably one of the most random positions, unless you're just facing like a really, really terrible team and a terrible offensive line, terrible quarterback. But they can be random at times. I don't know if I will have the cap to pay for the Chiefs, and that's fine for me. I can just take a shot on one of these defenses cheaper. Maybe the Patriots, just because they have a lot of talent on the defensive end. I never want to feel good about playing a defense against the Chiefs, but anything can happen. They're only 2,600, so don't need that much out of him. And if the Chiefs defense themselves, they don't get any scores, or they don't have just have a mediocre game, it's not going to really matter if the Chiefs defense gets me 10 and the Patriots gets me 5 or something like that. So that's it for the Draftkings side. These are the picks that I'm really looking at. Let's go over to Fanduel. Okay, over on the Fanduel side, we have at quarterback, no surprise, Mahomes is 87, followed by 83 for Aaron Rodgers, and 78 for Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan's price tag on FanDuel is still really nice. You have Aaron Rodgers at just $500 more, so I'll probably go with one of those two in the second game, just because I'm expecting a lot of points in that one. At running back, like Aaron Jones is still the guy that I want to get to at 8,400. Wide receivers, looking at the price tags, we have Julio is 81 and Ridley is 83, so it's a bit closer. On FanDuel, you have Scantling at 6,000. Watkins is 57. So they look better. FanDuel's pricing is a little bit more expensive, but I'm still going to go with Davante Adams. Get those two in there. Going to get Ridley in there for sure on FanDuel. Probably get Julio in there as well. Just really looking at a game stack in the second game. And then quarterback, we'll see if I can get Matt Ryan in there and see how things look. We're down to 4,600 left. So we'll just see if I can make something out of this. 53 for Robert Tonyan. Other running back, go with Gurley. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be pretty tough. Down to 2,900 left, so it's going to be tough to get to everybody of this caliber. We're going to have to go with, pick between Ridley or Jones most likely on FanDuel, so that is pretty sad. Could look at Scantling instead of one of them. Put in Marquez Valdez Scantling, and then you have 5,000 left. For somebody who looks okay, probably wanted to get to Sammy Watkins. If I do that, maybe we might have to sacrifice Aaron Jones for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which is not the worst thing in the world. So this is another approach you can do. I think that's definitely a lot of Packers, but I think that they will be able to do well this one. At least we get Jones out of there, so hopefully the touchdowns can come to these, but we'll see how it ends up shaking out on Fanduel. I think the favorites that I like a lot that I definitely want to get to is Davante Adams at 9K if he's in. I want to get to, and then one of Jones or Ridley, whoever you feel better about. Ridley has looked better, so maybe Ridley. And then running backs here, maybe he can take a shot on one of the Patriots running backs if you wanted to. But probably Gurley at 66 is just a nicely priced guy that is not going to kill you and not going to break the bank for. Matt Ryan, 7,800. Tight ends, don't see any cheap tight end that I would take a shot with besides like Tunyon or Hurst. So try to get to one of them. Then 5,700 left. Wide receiver, you could go with Watkins, Hardman, Robinson, somebody like that, of that caliber. But I think these guys, if I was game stacking, I would start my lineup with that in the second game. So that's it for me. That's the video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And best of luck tonight.